I'm turning the camera on, and I'm sorry that I don't really know how to use it good. So you're the first person I think that is in. How do I even tilt this thing? This is my camera, believe it or not, and I don't really know. Oh, you know what? I usually use it without the tripod, so I'm just going to take the tripod off. Boy. Okay. All right.
Can I be interviewed second?
Sure.
Okay.
Who wants to go first, or would you like to grill me first? Because I'd like somebody to grill me. Just to show that, you know, you guys aren't setting me up for this, because I really want to do this, and I asked you guys for help.
I could go.
Okay. Try to get a good shot of Ross.
So my name is Ross, and I've been part of various different movements. I've been active in the Green Party and Occupy. I'm a big supporter of the Zapatista movement in Mexico. I'm currently learning how to farm because that is definitely part of my political activity as well. And basically, I'm in the movement with April and with a lot of other people looking for a better life and a better way to live, I think. And I'm really glad to be supporting April. I'm really excited for this to happen because you know, we need to be taking actions like this in a lot of different areas of our lives. It's things like this that'll give us control over our lives again, over the day-to-day things that matter to us, and the relationships in our lives, and all the really important things like that. And yeah, basically, if this is something that'll help other people be treated with more compassion, then I'm glad to be supporting it.
You're a really cool person. Seriously. You guys are really inspiring. All right. You wanted to second?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm Natalia, and I've done activism with Democratic Socialists of America and Horizontal Power Hour at Wesleyan University, and also Occupy and a few other workers' rights things. And I stand with April and support her with this action because I want to be a part of anything that stops profiling groups of people, and I just think it's a really important message that she's sending.
And you all know I'm crazy, right? All right. Happy to be crazy. All right. Y'all set? Oh, thank you so much, Natalia. Vic, did you want to go first?
Okay.
Next?
Yeah.
Right.
Hi. I'm Vic Lancia. I'm a resident of this area. I'm living in Portland right now, but I've been in the central Connecticut Valley all my life. I've been away a few times. Way to school, way to military. I became pretty radicalized like back in the 60s, and then in the 70s it seemed like everything just died down, but somehow not quite by accident. You know, I ended up working in the labor department, and of course they gave me the title employment counselor, whatever that. And when I worked with welfare moms, and I've worked with mentally ill people, they would send them to me. I had to deal with my coworkers regarding that, but I always kind of knew whose side I was on because, well, now I've come to recognize, you know, I'm white, male, straight, but not narrow, and Bradley Manning is my hero, by the way. They wouldn't put him in the gay pride. He was going to be a grand marshal, and I'm really outraged, but he is my hero, okay, today. But I identify as mad now. Having met April, she's kind of wake me up. We always have something to learn, something new to learn. And I'm really proud to be part of this because, well, for one thing, we live in a sick society that's brutal. I think a lot of us are more damaged than we care to admit. Because if you admit that you're a damaged person, you get shamed. Well, you know what? I disregard shame. Shame is a verb. Shame is something people put on you. But you know what? I do this, you know? You know what that is, Natalia, right? You know, the hell with you, you know? I am mad and I'm proud of who I am. I'm glad of who I am, and I'm standing up for that, and I'm standing up. I want to be part of this action because of that. I identify with all oppressed peoples. I feel like we could have a better society. I'm sick of I got the mind, I've got mine, to hell with you society. I really feel like that we as human beings are realized in our community with each other. That's who we are. The corporate fantasy has completely erased that. It says, oh, go out and get yours. That's the corporate fantasy. Well, the corporate fantasy, we all realize, folks, is a bubble that we're bursting, and we're finding out who we really are. And that's what this movement is about. This movement makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel good about humanity. And come hell or high water, this is what I'm committing to. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Vic, I don't think I could have done this without you, I mean, I remember when we were like peace activists together, and I was kind of like hanging out with you every day on the street because you wanted to protest. I'm like, okay, great. If I just hang around that guy, maybe he'll let me do Madpride stuff.
We're working out on understanding of each other. We're coming together. We're overcoming our differences,
and I can be annoying sometimes
I
too.
Can be terrible too. So,
but we love each other.
I'm coming out of a sick society.
Me too.
And we're all healing ourselves. We're all healing ourselves, and yet at the same time we're feeling good about each other.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's just a privilege for me to be working with such courageous people. Okay, and I'll tell you what, out there's a lot of people out there that are off by themselves. I want to invite people to come in.
Yeah.
And join the human race.
Me too.
Okay?
Me too.
We will realize, your uniqueness will be enhanced in the community. You're not going to be happy going out and just getting yours. Because when you've got yours, you're by yourself. And what good is that? What good is that, So I feel like we can there's a possibility of making a better world. And this is why I'm part of this. Come hell or high water. I mentioned to you, Ross, I read some guy by the name of Viktor Frankl. This guy was a psychologist. He was in a concentration camp, okay? And how did he get through it? Well, he talked about Freud and Adler. Freud talked about a will to power, and Freud talked about a will to pleasure, and Adler talked about a will to power. And then 50 years later, along comes this guy by the name of Viktor Frankl, and he says, those things don't really satisfy. You can have all the pleasure in the world, and you can have all the power in the world, and you'll end up with banality. All right? What's important for all of us as human beings is that we have meaning in our lives. So I'm searching for meaning in my life. That's my primary goal. Making life mean something. And doing stuff like this, connecting with other people, that's meaningful to me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Vic. I don't think we would have a movement down here if it wasn't for you.
Well, the Wesleyan students, man. The Wesleyan students, man.
Yeah, them too.
It's always been the Wesleyan students,
So I would like people to question me because what I'm afraid of is because I've been, declared incompetent so many times, and I don't really care about it, but people need civil rights. It's one thing to call you a label or a name or something. It's another thing to strap you down on a bed and pull your pants down and touch you and, not let you see your friends and family and stuff like that. So, could you guys ask me questions to show that that you guys haven't, I'm just not the unthinking automaton that is like in the movies, a mad person is perfectly controllable. I seen one dramatized television special this one time where there was like these crime scene investigators or whatever, and they figured out that one lady in the apartment was crazy and somebody else who wanted somebody killed in this movie was writing fake messages from God, and the crazy woman just got them and thought they were really from God, And it's like, I'm not a machine. I'm a human being. I have morals, like everybody else. So, like all mad people do. So,
So do you want to say what exactly this protest is supposed to symbolize?
Well, symbolize freedom, equality, peace, I think is really important right now. I mean, I don't know anybody that is, militant or, going after in the MAD movement. I mean, we come from normal families. We all have people that we love that are normal. And we can't tell each other apart unless, we go through something together. So it's like, even if there was like a Black Panther party or some kind of militant answer to our civil rights problems, which I have the greatest respect for, despite the problems like some other minorities trying to defend themselves, it's really not, I think, that possible for us. So I think still the media is forcing down this idea that mad people hate normal people, when if you look at the media, it's kind of like the opposite. And I think mad people just really want peace and not the insanity defense, not the status usal of like terrorism. And I mean, I don't believe in like homeland security is like doing its, doing us all a favor, but it's not something that's okay to just go and blow people up. And when they blow people up, they blow people up that are both mad and sane, and a lot of people end up becoming mad because it's traumatizing. So
Can I say something about mad people, being mad, being a
Yeah.
mad person myself, and having the experience being bullied in my lifetime?
Yeah.
Various times in my life, I've been bullied for who I am. But I will tell you this, I have never owned a gun in my life, and I never will. I'm committed to nonviolence. It's because I've been bullied, I understand what it's like to be shamed for who you are. So I have a kinship with all oppressed people. Right, a kinship, all oppressed people. If you've been shamed, I'm with you. And I'm here to say that stand up and be proud of who you are. Shame is a verb. It's not your fault. We're all born precious, and we make the right choice. To me, the choice is nonviolent, passive resistance, and standing up and not being afraid to be kind and compassionate. I understand something about in jail, the prevailing ethos is like kindness is a sign of weakness. It's funny that's something that's valued in a prison. And it's funny that in our society, kindness is seen as kind of a weakness. Might that suggest that we're all in some way imprisoned? Okay? Well, I'm just going to throw that out. I reject all of that. So as they say, I think Gandhi says, be the person you want the world to be. That's the way I am. And I've been meeting people like that. And together we're powerful. Together we could make a better society.
When I was about 11 years old or so, my parents took me to an uncle's house and wanted me to fire a gun. They kept like pestering me, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't like guns, I didn't like hunting, and I wasn't too interested in target practicing. I was more interested in the bugs and stuff on the ground. So finally they like, April shoot, oh you gotta shoot, but you're a kid, you're supposed to want to, finally I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there, I'm going to keep a stoic face no matter how loud and noisy and boomy and smelly and stupid it is, and then they're never going to ask me again, they're going to be totally crushed. And I did that and it worked. I fired it a couple times, no expression, and didn't hit any cans, of course, because I'm a bad aim. That's another reason why I never want to own a gun. I'm just not that good of an aim with anything like a ball or. But I would, Then they asked me, "Oh, April, how was it?" I was like, "It's too loud and it smells funny." But, I don't want a gun. I'm a pacifist. I'd like it if Homeland Security, Al-Qaeda, all these nuclear facilities and all these people around the world just gradually disarm, like just talk to each other and have that conversation and come to peace. I think that's really important. Stop building a weapons industry. Why don't we even need to buy stuff like that? If we stop paying for it, it'll automatically start dwindling down if we just stop funding it, I think. But if you're talking about having a disproportionate arms group between one sector of society and another, and you're doing it in a manner that is going to profile that minority group, especially one that's already oppressed in civil rights, I gotta say that really worries me. I mean, it really does.
So, April, when did you start thinking about this action? Like, when and how did the ideas come together?
I got an email from Lager Stout, who was a former, she was like a founder of Western Students for Disability Rights here, that had a law that had been proposed, I guess, and rejected, that Vice President Biden had done something or other about trying to locate dangerous students on a campus using college counseling, which you already have tons of laws to lock so-called dangerous people up, and you really need to send people to jail, not the psych hospital. And I want, and so then at that point, I found the statistics, somebody emailed the statistics on the database, and I saw how many immigrants were there, and I saw how many mad people were there, and it just, people were scared. People are scared because it doesn't matter if you want to own a gun. I mean, that's a myth. They have to have a database on you before you go to even look for a gun if you even want one, but it does it in a way that criminalizes you, and you haven't committed a crime. You haven't even been alleged of a crime. You've just been a disabled person. I mean, I don't really understand why Gabby Giffords would be advocating for this, because if she wasn't a woman of privilege, this would be profiling her self-estaters, whether or not she wanted one. Which she could be the greatest pacifist in the world, and she would still have an FBI record. If she was adjudicated, which normally I think people would be adjudicated in her situation, at least for a while. I have actually had brain surgery when I was a kid to remove a cyst. It wasn't a psych surgery, but I have traumatic brain injury too, and I'm cool with any disability, although I know not everybody identifies with that way. I'm cool with that. But all people need rights, whether it's developmental, whether it's psych. People need equal rights as people, and need to. People need justice, because without justice, there's all this profiling, and mad people aren't safe either, because what they do with criminals is they expose law-abiding mad people who are in hospitals and institutions against their will to them first, which a lot of times people end up getting assaulted, and it's just, people should be equally protected. I know there's serious problems with the criminal justice system, I believe that, but I think that the diversionary system is an excuse for not fixing the criminal justice system, and I just don't think that you can solve an injustice with an injustice.
As a mad person, I gotta say that I am able to respond. I am responsible, able to respond. And I am a mad person because I've been damaged. And I'm healing. But that doesn't mean I'm irresponsible. I am responsible for my actions. And I choose what I'm talking about right here. Nonviolent, passive resistance, and to be there for all oppressed peoples.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, Vic is really a
We
champion
are capable
for
of
a lot
being responsible, aren't we?
Yes.
We are. These are the most responsible people I've known.
Yeah.
Really. All the people we've been working with, April, for the last 2 years or so now. These are people who are able to respond, willing to respond, you know, to the suffering in this world. We are responsible people.
Yeah, really. And I guess for me, there's also like a personal of being a survivor of crime, and especially knowing and researching and learning more about it, about how people of color and Jews and LGBT and just anybody who, you know, especially it's like, it seems like the court system doesn't want to face the fact that there is still bigotry that exists in society, even when we have like groups that sell like hate paraphernalia from like Nazi, and people publish, you know, really horrible stuff, you know, online about other minorities. It's something that we still have to work on, like people glorifying in other people's deaths from some kind of group when another person kills it. But if the court can just say, well, this one person was insane, it gives them a chance to ignore the whole social organization of these hate groups that go around and targeting minorities like that. So, I mean, the hate crime that happened on Westland, I would have to recuse myself because I was too close to what happened. But for me, it did affect me, and, you know, it's just horrible, like the way it's affected the whole community and the things that I've been through since and the things that I've learned since. So I really want to stand up as a conscientious objector status to the excusal of hate crimes too, because I know people who are both mad and Jewish, and it was like committing a second hate crime, because the idea that mad people are just biologically depraved and, you know, criminal, it comes back from the eugenics movement. It was the originator of the beliefs that you know, were transferred when they wanted to test out the Holocaust. They kind of you know, which they actually you know, had a genocide in Africa too. I was like watching a documentary on it before, but when they decided they started killing people in Europe, they had a T4 program where that really funny shower ruse that people don't understand was like, why would they get a large number of people in a shower and gas them like that? That was started in the institutions. That was the first people that they killed, and that when they went to defend themselves, you know, I've been reading in the court, you know, in the Nuremberg trials, and the doctors pointed to the eugenics sterilization programs we had in the U.S. at that time, which, like, with the ruling that 3 imbeciles are enough for whatever. And so it's just one form of hate disguising other forms of hate. So, and I'm sorry for rambling on, but I just really want to get it out there. I don't know. I really want to go to prison because I'd have better rights if I went to prison. For one thing, I have the right not, you know, if I was treated like a normal prisoner and they don't segregate me or adjudicate me, I think is the word the lawyers use, as mentally ill, even, you know, in prison. If they don't do that to me and I still retain my legal status, then I can't be forced electroshocked because it's cruel and unusual treatment. And that is good because, you know, I've known a lot of people who have had forced electroshock. Like, everybody gets like some memory loss, but, you know, for some people it's temporary, but for some people it's permanent, and they lose big factors of, you know, their life. I can't have forced psychosurgery, and in this state, as a mad person, under some circumstances, they do force people, and it's just one of the most undemocratic things imaginable. That they still do that. I will have the burden of proof would be on the court if I was accused of a crime to prove that I am guilty of a past act. If I am put in as, you know, if I am acquitted as an insane person, what happens is the burden of proof shifts to me, and I'm like speaking of this like just reading it. I'm a homeschooler. I didn't get a whole lot of education, but what I understand is the burden of proof shifts to me because I've been acquitted as innocent, but in order to be released from like a psychiatric review board or whatever, I would have to prove that I'm not dangerous of something that hasn't even happened in the future, which is an impossible thing to prove. And some people should also know that it's not just something that is worse for the mad people who are innocent or petty criminal, because they can extend your sentence in a psychiatric institution like pretty much indefinitely. But also a lot of people of privilege seem to get out early on some very serious crimes under the insanity defense. It seems to be a tool of privilege as well. So it's really important to me that my people have legal status, because then my friends will be protected from these human rights travesties happening to them. And I know that this one act isn't going to accomplish it for all people, but I think that if people are brave enough to start standing up and starting to do this individually, make sure you have a lot of help, because you only see like 3 people in this room. That these are the people that wanted to be filmed today. There's a lot more people helping me, like both locally and around the U.S., which is, from the psych survivor and med and, and consumer movements and stuff. That's really good because, if I did this by myself, you can't do this by yourself, because it's too repressive. You get into the hospital. It's like easiest way to deal with you, easiest way to shut you up.
Enough said.
Yeah, any more questions for me? Does everybody believe that I'm really not, I'm really wanting to do this myself. So, and I admit that I am mentally disabled. I've been mentally disabled since I was a child. I don't care. I like who I am. I'm in solidarity with people with Downs and people with autism and people with any other kind of disability. And I'm in solidarity with people who don't think it's a disability. And if you're normal, I think of it as my ethnicity because of the ways it is, talked about eugenically. They thought being Jewish was genetic at some point. The ideas of race, we all have physiological differences, but it's a matter of which ones we think are important, or cultural differences. What do we think is culturally important? So they consider it like they do like race or culture, or if you're traumatized, like they do caste. So those are all ethnicities. So I consider myself an ethnicity, but I don't think that everyone's the same as me, and I think that the only thing that we really have in common is like non-conformity. So if we could tie that into equality, we would have like the best, most uniting thing in the world, because you can't, even if you like one day you shifted everything to where there were, because there's more and more of us because they got to, the drug companies keep wanting to make their profits and stuff. So even if it shifted to where there were more mad people and sane people were suddenly a minority, that would just be another kind of neurodiversity. People who wanted to conform, people who weren't conforming by trying to conform with each other, even though it's impossible to completely conform. So if we could just have equality for nonconformity, I think we'd be, we'd have at least some kind of philosophical point to try to cover us with this equality thing. So, and thank you guys, God, so much, because I couldn't even do this without these people. I'd be dead meat.
Well, I really admire you, April. I think what you're doing takes a lot of courage.
I wanted to say something about forced medication.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear that shirt tomorrow.
Oh yeah, stop forced treatment.
Medication. Okay. Now I've never been forced to take medication. Okay, I've taken Prozac and Zoloft. Sorry, folks. I wasn't me when I was doing that stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't who I was. Okay. Somebody put it a really good way. What do mad people need? This drug or that. Mad people need love.
Yeah.
That's what we need. that'll heal a whole host of things.
Yeah.
If we all learn about caring and loving each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we need. You know, we could put big pharma out of business with that. I'm telling you.
Yeah, or if they knew like the health risks, like or is like is
Say what?
If people like considered the health risks like they did with smoking, it would go way down because they're really toxic and stuff. But I also like I know a lot of people, just like I know a lot of people smoke, or a lot of people who drink or do other unhealthy things that use psych meds, and they experience extreme emotions. Some people like me, can experience extreme emotions even off psych meds, on it or off. Mine got kind of peaked even higher on mine, but I know I trust people, and people decide what they want to do with extreme emotions and extreme
They're out
states.
there. There's good people out there.
Yeah.
And we've got to find each other and search each other out.
People are so scared, so
And
maybe
come
this
out
will
with
make
who
them.
we are and not be ashamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this will make people like want to join up with like some of these groups and stuff. Because I'm like I don't feel comfortable being a leader or anything. I was traumatized with being in a cult. But for this, I've decided, well, this is my body, so I'm going to decide what to do with my body. And then other people are like, other people, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And everybody's been so helpful, like, oh, sure, yeah, how can we help you? And it's so nice that you guys are advocating for me like this, because the protests wouldn't be possible without advocates. So, God, thank you guys for making my dreams come true and help people out, because it's so much stress to carry.
I will say this, being a mad person and having felt alienated, to me, the best therapy is what we're doing right here.
Yeah.
Working
Vic
for
taught me
justice. That is always when I feel much better. When I'm out there doing stuff
Yeah.
to make people recognize that we're in this together. And when we get, and I keep running into people in the progressive movement, but people are willing to act. They're brave. People are brave. You can be very brave when your life means something.
Even when you're scared.
Even when you're scared.
Because I'm scared, but I'm like super happy and scared. Yeah. Like, you have taught me like so much, because like you have like, because in my life, I get upset about things and people were like, God, April's getting, stuff. But, Vic's been like expressing himself through helping other people all this time. And, he kind of gave other people the tools to help other people.
The feeling's mutual.
It's like the best alternative ever.
We know it could be a better world. And we reject a lot of the bullshit that we've been brought up with.
Yeah.
And caring for each other, that's how we become ourselves.
And when
we are social animals.
Outlet. Yeah.
I might be a social klutz, but I am a social animal. And I'm learning how to relate, okay?
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Oh, I love you. Hi. You're back. You're back. All right.
All right.
Well, we wanted to show you a different side of Connecticut, because, man, I've been reading the news and I know how depressing it is, but there's some really great people here, like Ross and Natalia and Vic, that just don't get on the news at all. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.